Hey freaks, it's JJ. Welcome back to my channel. I am back from my little hiatus that I took. So I had planned to do another video before I took a break to, spend time with family and stuff during Christmas. But life happens. So sorry I've been gone for a little while, but I am back. And I want to thank you all for being so patient with me. And, I'm just happy to be back. And I'm also really happy to announce the release of HEIRESS. So as some of you might know, I've been working alongside the band Illyria, and I've been helping them write the story that goes along with their debut concept album. Their concept album under the same name, HEIRESS, will be released Friday the 13th. So be ready for some progressive death metal and the accompanying book that goes along with it. Anyway, I just wanted to plug that for a sec. But today I'm going to be talking about all the concerts that I went to in 2022, and I'm going to be ranking them from my least favorite to my favorite. So yeah, let's jump in. If you want to support what I do here on this channel, then make sure you hit subscribe, and then also make sure you join my metalhead community. Link is down in the description. I attended 8 shows this year, which is not all that many, but some of them were kind of expensive, so, you go to what you can afford. So I was actually supposed to go to 9 concerts, but I ended up getting sick and I wasn't able to go to one of the shows that I had tickets to, which I'm really sad about because it was Rivers of Nil, and I have not seen this band ever before. So I didn't go because I was sick, and then about a week after they announced that they were parting with their lead vocalist, so I'll never get to see that exact lineup if I ever go see them, but shit happens. So anyway, let's start off with the 8th place on this list. At number 8 we have Falling in Reverse. So it was my first time seeing Falling in Reverse. They came here in Nashville to the Municipal Auditorium, and I went with my husband who has also never seen them before, and we had seats like way back in the nosebleeds. But yeah, I've been a fan of, or I was a fan of Falling in Reverse, like way back in my emo days, when I used to go to Warped Tour and everything, and I, used to love Ronnie Radke when he was in Escape the Fate. So, I have a lot of nostalgia with this band, and I actually hadn't listened to them in years and years until, maybe a year or two ago. I found them again, and I at first hated their new sound with the rap stuff that he's doing now. I was like, what the hell happened to you in prison? This is awful. But then the more I listened to it, I really started to warm up to it, and I actually really now enjoy their new sound. Falling in Reverse definitely gets a lot of hate, but I actually do really like them as a band. So they were on tour with Papa Roach and Hollywood Undead. So we didn't actually stay for the whole show. We left after Falling in Reverse. We didn't watch Papa Roach because, I don't know, I'm just not really a big Papa Roach fan. I'm sure they put on a great show, but I'm like an old lady. I go to bed at 9, and I was tired, and it was a work week, so so we didn't stay. But Holly Undead was really cool. They are also a huge nostalgia band, blast from the past for me. I used to listen to them back in middle school, and yeah, I was a big fan of them. So it was cool to see them and some of their new music, and they're actually really a great well-rounded band. I loved their stage performance. They had a lot of energy, and they all shared the spotlight at different times. They pretty much passed the guitars and the bass from person to person, and they pretty much all knew how to do every position in the band, which was really cool, except of course the drummer. He stayed the drummer the whole time, but he could also sing as well. So it was really cool to see them, and I was actually really pleasantly surprised by their set and how much I enjoyed it. So now on to Falling in Reverse. So, like I said, they're kind of a guilty pleasure for me. I know a lot of people really hate them, but I really enjoy them, and I know Ronnie Radke gets a lot of flack for being, who he is. But anyway, the reason I wanted to go see this band is because my husband has recently been getting into a lot of metal, and he really enjoys a lot of metalcore, and so we went to go see them. Ronnie puts on a fantastic show. He's an amazing vocalist. He's a great front man. My only qualms would be that he's a little bit too much of the quintessential front man. The whole setup, it was all about him, and so the whole stage, the whole logo, everything was blacked out. Their logo was just blacked out, matte black, everything was black. All the other people in the band were all dressed in complete black, and then of course Ronnie comes out in just full white. And he of course had his ego riser catwalk in the front, so he was going back and forth, and it really felt like it was a lot about him, which I understand because it is, he is the face of the band, and without him it wouldn't be Falling in Reverse. But yeah, my husband didn't really care for the fact that he didn't quite share the spotlight as much as he thought that he should, which I totally expected going into it. But yeah, he puts on a great show. He's a fantastic vocalist, fantastic live. The whole band is great. They have like their bass player filling in on a lot of the harsh vocals that, just, can't be done by Ronnie live. And it was a great show that I enjoyed. But yeah, I had to put, something at the bottom of this list. And this show was just, sort of middle range for me as far as like all the bands that I've ever seen live. All right, and in spot number 7, we have Ghost. So, this was my second time seeing Ghost. I got these tickets from my husband as a present, because Ghost is one of his favorite bands. So we ended up driving all the way to Ohio. I feel like it was Cincinnati, somewhere up there. I think that's the city. I'm not quite sure. Somewhere in Ohio. Anyway, we had floor tickets, which, I really prefer being like in the crowd on the floor. I will sacrifice my feet in standing for long periods of time for, just being amongst the people and getting that cool vibe. Versus my husband really prefers to have seats, and he likes to relax and chill out, during shows. And so we had floor spots, which in hindsight, if I'm going to pick bands where I want to sit down, I think Ghost is probably more of like a sitting band than it is like a standing in the, in the crowd type of band. But yeah, I still enjoyed seeing Papa really close up there on the floor. They had a band opening for them called Twin Temple, which I had never heard of before, but I thought they were like the perfect band to open for Ghost because they are like a satanic doo-wop band, which is so unique. And they were just fun to watch. They had, really interesting stage presence. They had like a whole thing where she like drinks a goblet of blood, and like it was fun. The lead singer, she is very talented. That woman can sing. She's like this big too. She's really cute. But yeah, they have this whole satanic thing that they do, and it was just fun. It was just perfect opener for Ghost. And I really enjoyed them. My husband didn't really care for them as openers, but yeah, go look up Twin Temple. They're pretty cool. It's like a husband-wife duo, and the only thing is, like, I didn't really care for their recorded sound because they have that like old-timey kind of like crackly like production sound to sound like they're from whatever time period. I actually really prefer their live set, so if they recorded a live album, I'd definitely buy that one. But just forewarning in case you go check them out and you don't like the sound of their production. But anyway, when Ghost came on, they were fantastic as always. Papa, of course, had, jokes and like his whole like stuff that he does on stage, and also he had so many new costumes. I was surprised by how many like costume changes that he did. He had this one point where he had these really cool wings. Like, I just want to know who does his costuming, because whoever's in charge of that is just knocking it out of the park. He looks awesome. It was a little bit of a drive to get there, of course, but it was a great show. I really enjoyed it. In place number 6, we have Ice Nine Kills. And so they came to Bridgestone Arena here in Nashville, which is actually a really cool venue. Bridgestone is the arena that they have the Predators play in. If you're into hockey or anything, I've actually never been to a Preds game, but apparently they're pretty good or something. But it's just a nice stadium. Anyway, I went with my husband, and we had seats all the way in the back, of course, because it was expensive. And this show, we both agreed that it probably would have been better if we had tickets on the floor, just because, Ice Nine puts on such a great show with all of their like stage antics that they do. But I'll get to that in a second. This was my second time seeing Ice Nine Kills. The first time I saw them was at a festival, and my husband and I, went to the festival together, but we ended up getting separated in the mosh pit, so I actually didn't get to experience this band with my husband, so which is why we wanted to go see them again together. Anyway, so they were on the road with Slipknot, which I'm sorry, and I hope I don't, piss off any of you maggots out there, but I'm not really a huge fan of Slipknot. Like, I respect them as a band, I think they're great, but I just don't really listen to much of their music, and, of course they were the headliner, so we didn't stay for them, because it was late, and I'm a morning person. I get up at like 4:45, so we didn't stay the whole time for that show. Plus, I've already seen Slipknot before, and they put on a great show, but we were really there to see Ice Nine Kills. But anyway, going back to Ice Nine Kills, they, of course, put on such a great show. I love how much they put into their live performance, how they have all the props and the costuming, and the actor that they kill off and everything. And, it's so much fun. I really wish that we had been a little bit closer to the stage to really see all the details and all the stuff that was going on. So that's like my only complaint with this one, is like we should have coughed up the money for the floor tickets instead of seats. But I still had a really great time. They're such a talented band, and I really love their brand new album, the Welcome to Horrorwood album, which is their follow-up to the Silver Scream, which I was like, there's no way they can top the Silver Scream. It's great, but they definitely topped it with Welcome to Horrorwood, and it was just really cool to see some of those songs live. And in spot number 5, we have Sabaton. So, I went with my husband and my sister. It was here in Nashville at this place called the Ryman Auditorium, which is like this famous historical venue site, and it's kind of like this sort of like church-looking venue. It was my first time going to this venue, but they basically have like pews, like church seating. Like they don't have actual like seats. So there's benches, and then you sit, on the bench next to all the other random people that you may or may not know. But it's a cool little venue. It was kind of small for Sabaton. Like the merch line wrapped all the way around the venue in just one giant circle. But it was a great show. Epica opened for them, and Epica is a fantastic band. I don't really listen to them a whole lot, but yeah, they're really talented, and they were definitely a great opener for Sabaton. But yeah, this was my 3rd time seeing Sabaton, and Sabaton shows are always just so much fun. It's just pure joy to be there. Like it's great to be alongside, of course, people who also love Sabaton, like my husband and my sister, who are also huge dorks like me, and it's just fun to sing every lyric and kind of like dance along with it and just nerd out and have so much fun. And of course the guys always put on a great show, and just Sabaton's just a joyful experience. If you've never seen them and you like them, then go see them sometime. It's just good fun. And in spot number 4, we have Fit for an Autopsy. So this is my first time seeing Fit for an Autopsy. I don't listen to a ton of deathcore, but I love Fit for an Autopsy. They might even be in like my top 10 bands. They are just fantastic. So they played a little tiny venue here in Nashville called The Basement, which is interesting because it was actually destroyed by the tornado we had come through in 2020. But they had so much support for this local venue that they were able to rebuild it, which is incredible. So I actually went to this show alone. I go to some concerts alone if I don't have anyone who is willing to go with me. Like my husband is not going to listen to deathcore for an hour or two. So I went alone, which is fine. I really don't mind going to concerts by myself, but my husband doesn't really like it because he thinks it's like unsafe or whatever. So he told me, he's like, if you go, make sure you find like a friend there, and then maybe you and her can like become best friends, and you guys can go to metal shows together, so I don't have to worry about you, and or I don't have to go to shows I don't want to go to. I was like, okay, sure, I'll look, but sometimes us females are few and far between at the show, depending on what the crowd is like. So went by myself, and Signs of the Swarm, Enterprise Earth, and Ingested opened for them, which I had never heard of any of these bands except for Ingested, which a friend of mine, Max, introduced me to Ingested, and they put on a great show. All the openers were great, and of course I'm there just like searching the crowd for other women who could potentially be like my new female friends. And so I was like in the bathroom like, hey, so where are you from? Like a dork. Anyway, eventually by the time Fit for an Autopsy came on, I was able to insert myself in kind of like a little corner of females. I think there was 4 of us, maybe 4 or 5 of us, kind of like right off of stage right. And we were just like literally on the stage. Like there was no barricade around the stage, and so this one girl next to me was actually charging her phone on the stage right there at the like power strip that was on the edge of the stage. And so we were just hanging onto the edge of the stage there. It was so much fun. Fit for an Autopsy is a great live band. My only qualm would be that I can see why they put up the barriers. So they put up the barriers, first of all, for like security, but also for the sound, because if you're that close to the stage, you're like underneath the monitors, and the sound of the monitors is not really reaching you the way that it should. So if you're a couple feet away, you're getting a lot better sound quality and a better experience as far as like just the sound goes. And so it was a little bit hard to hear the mix of things that were going on. That's my only qualm, but it's my own fault because I just really wanted to be that close to the band. But it was a ton of fun, and I liked being amongst all these other girls. It was how we had great, like female energy right there. And yeah, by the end of the show, I did actually make a friend, Kristen, and we were actually able to go to the next show that's on this list together. So number 3 on this list, I have Gwar. So this is my first time going to a Gwar show. They came here to Nashville at this really interesting new venue. It's like a bowling alley / concert venue, which is really strange, but I guess they're kind of like, it's like the new thing to have like music and bowling at the same time. So I guess they're popping up everywhere. I think there's like 2 bowling music venues here in Nashville now. Anyway, I went with my friend Kristen, who I met at the Fit for an Autopsy show. The openers were Crowbot and Necrogoblicon, and I love Necrogoblicon. One of my favorite bands now, and I talked about them when I did the hot sauce video. I'll link that somewhere up here or something. But yeah, Necrogoblicon is a fantastic band. Crowbot was also a great opener as well. But if Necrogoblicon had been opening for anyone other than Gwar, I think they really would have stole the show, because of course they have John Goblicon, dancing around the stage, being funny and entertaining, and they were just perfect as far as the sound and quality of performance goes. So Gwar comes out in their amazing costumes, and I feel like that really the unsung heroes of the whole Gwar performance are, these slaves that they have just putting things together behind the scenes, like running and fitting in the nozzles where they need to go to shoot blood from this person or from that person and from here and there. And it's just, it's a lot of backstage work that that goes on that you don't really get to see as much. But I feel like since I have some experience, which, stage production and stuff like that, I feel like I really appreciate all that goes on behind the scenes to make the band look good and have all their blood stuff really work the way that it should. But by the time Gwar came on, we were kind of up near the front-ish, but we were way off to stage left, kind of right in front of Pustulus. And so yeah, when you go to a Gwar concert, you can't be afraid of getting wet, and you also can't be afraid of seeing a lot of man butt as well. That was a surprise for me, which I thought was hilarious. And yeah, you don't see a lot of man butt at concerts these days. Anyway, of course I had a white shirt on, and then I had my battle vest, which got totally stained and drenched, which is awesome, which was what I wanted in the first place. But in the beginning of the show, I was a little worried that I wasn't going to get sprayed as much as I wanted to, because we were, again, kind of far off to, stage left, and they were mostly shooting all the blood and stuff at the center of the crowd. So I was like, oh no, maybe I'm just going to get speckled with blood. Not the case if you wait till their last song. So the last song, I kind of got a little bit more up towards the front against the rail there, and at the last song, they have 2 guns, and they just blast the entire crowd. And there is a lot of water pressure behind those guns as well. You just get knocked in the face pretty hard. And I talked to a lot of other people who have been to Gwar concerts. They said the fake blood also gets under your contact lenses if you wear contacts, and it gets into everything. So I was happy that I got completely drenched, which is what I wanted, and of course my battle vest got totally stained, which is also what I wanted. And yeah, another exciting thing from the show is I caught a pic from Pustulus. I don't know if caught is the right word, because actually it got dropped on the floor, and then the security guard picked it up, and I happened to only be the only one who was paying attention, and I was able to, pluck it from his hands, thankfully. But yeah, this is probably only the second guitar pick that I've ever gotten, but I'm really excited about it. So yes, that was my first experience at Gwar, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing them again one day. Alright, and in spot number 2, we have the Mars Volta. So this was, of course, my first time seeing them. I was just so excited when they announced their reunion and their release of their new album. I bought tickets immediately, and the closest place that they were coming to me was Atlanta, which is about 4 hours away, and it happened to fall the day before my birthday. So my husband and I drove 4 hours to Atlanta, and since it was my birthday weekend, we decided, hey, let's spend a little bit more money on the hotel and get one that's right next to the venue. That way we can walk there and not have to worry about Atlanta traffic, which really sucks. So we got the hotel. It was 2 blocks from the venue, and so of course when on our way in through the city, if you've ever been to Atlanta, Atlanta has the worst traffic ever. It's awful. And so we got caught in traffic for an hour or so once we hit the city. But it turns out getting caught in traffic was actually, you know, a blessing in disguise, because by the time we got to the hotel and we were checking in, Cedric was actually just leaving. And so we got to meet Cedric, which was awesome. I don't think I've ever met a band member outside of like a meet and greet type of situation. So yeah, it was exciting. I was a little bit starstruck and I almost didn't go up to him, but my husband kind of like made me go say hi to him. I always feel bad like meeting celebrities or like people, you know, like I don't want to bother them. I feel like since I'm such an introvert, I would absolutely hate getting pestered by people constantly out in public. So I didn't want to like bother him with like asking for a selfie or anything, but I just told him how excited I was for the show and I got to shake his hand. So yeah, it was a really exciting experience. Cedric is a very nice guy, or at least, you know, he was from the like 2 seconds I got to meet him. Anyway, yeah, we got checked into the hotel and then we had dinner, and then we walked to the venue, which was pretty much like right across the street. And it was really cool venue called the Tabernacle, it's just like one of those kind of theater type ones with like the balconies that rise way, way up. Like we were so high up, it was like we were almost like on the roof. And it was cool. I was like, at first I was like, oh man, these seats are gonna suck. We're so far away, I'm not gonna be able to see anything. But we actually got kind of like a bird's eye view of the stage, which was really great because we got to see a lot of the drumming. Their new drummer, Philo, is so talented. And of course my husband really enjoyed it because my husband plays the drums. So he got to kind of like Hawkeye the drummer from our point of view. So their opener was Terry Genderbender. She was interesting. I didn't know who she was or have any expectations. I didn't even know if they had an opener or not because it was not advertised. But she was interesting. I wouldn't say she was bad. I thought she was fitting with the Mars Volta. And I learned afterwards that she's very close with the band. So yeah, I thought she was fitting for the Mars Volta because she's so strange. But my husband hated the performance. I don't know why, but he didn't enjoy it. But then the Mars Volta came on and they played for almost like 2.5 hours, and holy shit, it was like the best set list I could have ever hoped for, because I absolutely love De Loused in the Comatorium. I don't really listen to a ton of their other discography. Of course, I've listened to it, but I don't like play it on repeat like I play De Loused in the Comatorium. And they played almost the entire album, and it was fantastic. They also, of course, had all their like crazy extended jam sessions at the end of each song, or in between the songs, or in the midst of the songs, like they normally do. And it was just a wonderful experience. It's like, of course, like I said, the drummer was so talented. At one point, I think she broke her stick and accidentally like stabbed herself with the like shattered part of her stick, and she had to like wrap it up for a second. But then that woman kept going. Like, she is a trooper and she is very talented. I mean, the whole band is talented, of course. But yeah, and I was so happy with Cedric's vocals, because I know towards, you know, like the latter part of their career before they broke up, you know, his vocals were kind of hit and miss, but his vocals were perfect during this show. Absolutely just blew me away. And the crowd was incredible. Like, you could just feel that the crowd was just full of pure joy. Like, they were just, we were all just like kids in a candy shop. Like, holy shit, I can't believe this band is back together after all these years. And we all just felt so grateful and like cheerful. And you could just see, everyone was just smiling and just happy. Like, you could just feel it radiating throughout the whole room, just how happy and blessed we all felt to have this band back on stage. And the whole show was just a really sort of, this sounds weird, but sort of like a spiritual experience for me. Like, I went the whole show completely sober. I didn't even drink at all during the show, before or after, anything like that. And but by the time I was like halfway through the set, I seriously felt like I had smoked a few bowls. It was the weirdest experience I've ever had, but something about it just put me in this like altered state of mind. I feel like it was very strange, but it was really cool. Like, I've never experienced music having that kind of effect on me without being under the influence of, you know, something else, which was crazy. It was, I don't know, it's hard to put into words, but it's sort of like a feeling that was sort of like elation mixed with peacefulness, and I don't know, it was very cool, very strange. And it was probably one of my favorite shows of my entire life. Like, it was that good. Anyway, after the show, we got back to the hotel, and I felt like I just could not come down from this high from the show, even though I was stone cold sober. But like, I was really tired, and my husband had already gone to sleep, but my mind couldn't, you know, rest. And so I just put my headphones in and I ended up listening to their newest album just like on repeat. And I initially did not like their newest album because it's such a departure from, of course, everything they had done before, and it's not really a rock album. It's something altogether different. But I fell in love with that album right at that time. It just caught me in like this state where I was like halfway in between dreaming and being awake, and I think like that's the perfect place to experience their newest album. It's like this weird ethereal kind of feeling that you get from it. I don't know, I feel like I'm getting too philosophical or weird here, so I'm gonna stop talking about it. But this was one of my favorite shows ever. So you might be thinking, okay, well, what could possibly top that? And I don't think it's any surprise that in spot number 1, I am putting Coheed and Cambria. So, this was my 6th time seeing them. They came here to Nashville, to the Municipal Auditorium, and I went with my sister. One of the most wonderful things about Coheed is the community of all the children of the fence. So I got to meet some of all of you, and it was so much fun. There was actually a Facebook group that went around that like all of us local Coheed fans all met up right before the show. We went to Tailgate Brewery, and we just had beers and we had food, and we got to chat about how much we love Coheed, and like I got to meet a bunch of people that went on the cruise, and I got to talk to them about that experience, and it was just so much fun. A few of them even knew who I was from my channel, which is crazy to me. And yeah, this is why I love this channel, and I love all of you children of the fence, because you all are just great, wonderful people, and it's just always so nice to meet all of you. But anyway, so after our meetup, we went to, wait in line for the show, and I actually had someone come up to me who like recognized me, a stranger come up to me who recognized me from my channel and wanted to take a picture with me, which was so strange. I felt like a celebrity, but it was a very, very weird experience. I was very grateful, very happy, but I'm pretty sure in that picture, whoever you are who took it, like I probably look like a nightmare because it was so hot out that day. I was just like drenched in sweat, and then when I get hot, I get like a snarly like vein that goes through my forehead. But yeah, that was a weird, fun, interesting, new experience to have someone just recognize me off the street. Anyway, so I had prize level tickets, which I got to go in early, but I didn't get the meet and greet because all the meet and greet tickets were sold out when I bought my tickets. But I did get there for, early merch and for their pre-performance, their pre-acoustic performance, which they played Our Love. And initially, I didn't really care for that song on the new album, but, after listening to the acoustic performance, I think I appreciate it a lot more, and it's climbed up there in my favorite list of Coheed songs. So I bought way too much merch, like spent way too much money. Anyway, they had Mothica and the Alkaline Trio opening for them. The Alkaline Trio was fine. I don't really remember anything specific about them. I'm not like a huge fan of them, and I had never heard their music before, but they were just fine. And then Mothica played, which I had looked her up prior to going to the show, and she's very talented. I felt bad for her because some of the crowd was just like being assholes to her, and just the crowd didn't seem like they liked her very much. I really appreciated her, and I do really like a couple of her songs. But yeah, I think she was great. I don't know why people were complaining about her so much, but yeah, I think she's awesome. Anyway, in between the sets, while we're waiting for Coheed to come on, my sister and I painted our faces like Sister Spider and Creature, which was fun. But I was like, could hardly like do the face paint because I was shaking so hard because I had caffeine that day, and because I was so excited, I like couldn't. It was a nightmare, but it was fun. Anyway, so then Coheed hits the stage, or I guess before they hit the stage, they have their like intro track, which is Embers of Fire, and then they have this huge inflatable quintillion speaker that like inflates at the perfect point in the song when the song picks up, and it was I don't have words. it was so exciting to watch that giant speaker inflate. And it gave you like chills. It just felt like waking up Christmas morning, like that childish like feeling of excitement that, you just don't get much as an adult. It was that's like the level of excitement that I felt at that moment. And then of course Coheed hits the stage, and I and the kind of person I do not like looking up the set list before the show because I feel like it ruins the surprise, and so I had no idea what they'd play, but I was really happy with the set list that they chose. And of course they closed with Window of the Waking Mind, which I wasn't sure if they would play it, but that is my all-time favorite song off of the new album, and it is just a beautiful masterpiece. I was so happy that I got to see them play it live. But anyway, yeah, it was the best I've ever seen Coheed and Cambria. Claudio actually talked to the crowd, which in all the other times I have seen him play, he has never talked to the crowd, like, at all, but he actually talked to us. We even got like a improv little jam session that they did for a little bit, which was cool. It was Coheed unlike I'd ever seen them before. By far the best I'd ever seen them perform, and it was just so much fun. Again, like, Christmas morning feeling the whole entire time. And I was kind of annoyed with the crowd, like, before Coheed did the stage, but once Coheed was playing, the crowd was just wonderful. My sister and I were standing next to some guy, and him and I were just like screaming every single lyric, you know, throughout the whole show, and then we kind of like high-fived at the end and then went our separate ways. And that's just the type of people in the type of experience that you have when you go to a Coheed show. I feel like it's just a big part of the experience is the people you meet and all of you, you know, children of the fence. It really adds to the experience of the show. Anyway, so of course, they played Welcome Home as one of their encore songs, and, you know, I was, like, expecting Claudio to do his normal thing where he, you know, plays it behind his head like he always does, but instead, he, like, disappeared for a second, and then all of a sudden, he was, like, right in front of me, down, like, on the other side of the barricade, like, on the floor, just playing along, and it was cool, because I'd never seen him interact with the crowd that much before, and it was great to see him kind of come out of his shell and be inspired to want to do something different and want to, you know, interact with us a little bit more. But yes, the whole show was one of the best shows I've ever been to in my life. And yeah, if you've never seen Coheed and Cambria and you are a fan, then please go see them. They're just out of this world completely. Yeah. So that is it for my ranking of shows that I saw in 2022. Let me know down in the comments if you were actually at any of these shows or on any of these tours. Let me know the experience that you had. Also, drop down in the comments and tell me what shows you went to last year and what were some of your favorites that you saw. Anyway, thank you all so much for being patient while I took a few weeks off, and thank you all for the Christmas wishes. You all are really just the best people ever. And yeah, don't forget to join my Metalhead community, link down in the description, and be ready for next Friday for the release of HEIRESS by Illyria. Anyway, thanks for watching. Until next time.